Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday service of Now Creations. It's an exciting time for you, it's an exciting time for me, and an exciting time for Now Creations. It's wonderful to be alive at this moment, and certainly to be with all of you here this morning. Just a couple of announcements before we begin. First of all, this evening we'll be having our open forum from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Wendy Miller will be doing our testimonial first. We certainly invite you to attend. 6 to 7:30 this evening, simply going to our website, clicking on study groups, and scrolling down to open forum. And then also we have a rather large announcement to make. It's too time consuming to make here, but just to let you know that something very important is in our pipeline, and we'll be announcing it at all of our meetings this week. And then one last thing. No matter how much you have grown, you're going to grow so much more. There is an expanding presence within us, and this expanding presence is going to expand more, evolve more. I just want you to know the joy and the happiness that awaits you as you allow the consciousness to come into your own being and to elevate you and others. With that in mind, let me just say again that it's a great joy to greet you in this weekly teaching. In fact, the topic this week is about that experience of joy that many of us now are enjoying. In our topic today, our teaching is the impetus of joy. The impetus of joy. I will begin with the feeling and then the definition of a word, and then finally proceed to show the qualities of this impetus of joy within us. First the feeling and then the definition. A feeling that many of us are experiencing is a very conscious inner joy. There's just something within us that is different. We are happier more and more of the time. We seem to be more inclined to be more loving, more understanding, more kind in whatever we're doing. There seems to be what I call a daily inner smile. We just honestly and sincerely feel better. We seem to have a greater ease in our daily living as well. It's like the noises of the world do not impact us in ways that they once did. We seem to have this inner calmness most of the time. And this calmness is not just on the surface, but there is a depth to this calmness. It's a deep down peace. It's like we have an inner knowing that we are perfectly safe and secure in our day-to-day living. And this knowing gives us a command of life. We seem to have a commanding presence that is resulting in greater and greater well-being. We honestly seem to have an impetus to joy. Before I define that word that will help us to understand this impetus to joy, there are a couple of other comments that I think many of us are feeling. First of all, we are not the same old self we used to be. Honestly, there is something different going on within us. There's a newness. There's a sparkle within. Even though we do many of the same old things we always did, we seem to do them with a different attitude. There's more joy, more contentment, less worry, less anxiety, and not nearly as much fear. We've changed. We just don't worry so much. Secondly, we feel that this feeling within us is making a difference in the world, in the way that we are conducting ourselves, especially in relationship to others, is kind of like a lot of what we are doing is rubbing off on others. And whether or not they know it or not, or feel it or not, it's not the point. The point is that we live differently. We're just not caught up in the worldly stuff as much as we were. It's kind of like what Jesus said when he said, work to bring heaven to earth. Now, without exaggerating, honestly, without exaggerating, don't just think that this is what we're doing. We seem to be bringing heaven to earth. And just as honestly, did you ever think you would ever say to yourself that I am bringing heaven to earth? But doesn't it feel this way? Isn't there an impetus to joy within us? There's a third thing as well. It seems like that we are just more spiritual. There is more of the inner me. There is more of that inner presence showing up. It's not a holier than thou attitude. It's not a look at me boastfulness. It's not a Miss Goody Two Shoes. It's not a, oh, Mr. Perfect. But it's something that really is spiritual. It's kind of hard to define, but we really do seem to be living from a different place, much less worldly, and is it not true that you seem to really enjoy spiritual things? They make you happy within yourself. And you are becoming much more diligent in your daily spiritual practices, well, because it makes you happier. And I don't mean just saying prayers, but rather being quiet within yourself, enjoying a kind of inner presence. It too makes you happy. It's an impetus to joy. There's more to it. But before we proceed to those other things, let me now define the word that I mentioned at the beginning of the teaching. The word that I want to define is enthusiasm. We know what the word means in everyday usage, that one is excited, that one is animated to do something. And while this everyday usage can be applied to you, for are you not excited? Are you not animated by that joyful presence within you? There is much more. There is much more to the word enthusiasm that holds a deeper truth for you. The word enthusiasm comes from two Greek root words, en, which means in, and the word theos, theos, which means God. So that when you are enthused, when you are in God, are you not beginning to see that you are truly in the God energy? When you are in theos, when you are enthused, is not this the impetus to joy within you? And perhaps, maybe you never thought about this newness as being in God. But don't you think that's what it feels like? There seems to be a conscious presence about you that is in God. more spiritual. Now, honestly, isn't this true? There seems to be that conscious presence, and that you're pretty well aware of this presence all the time. And it's something that you had not experienced previously. But it does seem to be a presence in you that is in God. There is this something rising up in you. There is this impetus to joy that is clear as a bell, and you want to share it. In fact, you might be willing to say, sit down, take a moment, you might be willing to say that you are a reflection of God. You almost have to pinch yourself to even believe that this might be true. But isn't it? You really do feel this way. And there's no denying that there's something within you that seems to reflect God. More and more of the time, this impetus to joy is within you. You are being enthused. You are being in God. Now, what I'd like to share with you are some other qualities that really are the results of your impetus to joy. May I suggest these 3 results? First, that you have a sense of well-being about yourself. That you have a sense of well-being about yourself. Let me explain. Formerly, in the old you, there was a sense of worry and anxiety about your future. Regardless of how good the day was that was right processing in front of you, there was always that concern about the what-ifs of tomorrow. While this worry and concern was not always in the forefront of your mind, it did exist on the back burner. What if I get sick? What if I don't have enough money? What if? What if? What if? This ceaseless worry seems to have changed with the impetus of joy, plus one other very, very important thing. The impetus to joy has given you this sense of well-being, but it is this other thing that has also helped. That other thing is the law of attraction. In its simplest terms, the law of attraction states that whatever you focus on increases, and whatever you stop focusing on decreases. Isn't this precisely what you have done? You have begun to focus on well-being, and truly, has it not increased? Let me say it again. You've been focusing on well-being, and truly has this not increased? This impetus to joy has become more joyful. And because you have stopped focusing on worry, your anxiety has diminished. Do you not see it's all a matter of the law of attraction? Whatever you focus on will increase. As you focus on well-being, it increases. As you stop focusing on worry and anxiety, and certainly fear, it diminishes. This is such an important thing to acknowledge. You are rising up, no longer being pulled down. You are reflecting the Creator, not the world. And you are attracting more of the same because you understand how the law of attraction is guiding you. The second result. In a way that might be surprising to you, you are experiencing something that is having a big impact upon others. May I suggest that this thing you are experiencing that is impacting others is what I call a commanding presence. This conscious, commanding presence within you, and let me again make sure we're quite clear. This presence within you, this sense of being in God, has now become a commanding presence. Let me explain. It's like whenever you're in any situation and you apply this presence, it automatically responds. It's like you absolutely know what you're doing and you are doing it, but without strain, without exhaustive effort. It's kind of like you have become a gentle authority in your own life. A gentle authority in your own life. There is just this certainty, this knowing that enables you to have confidence in yourself with a sense of flow, a sense of ease, a commanding presence resulting in an impetus for joy. This sense of being in control of the situation without being controlling. Let me repeat this before I go any further. This sense of being in control of the situation without being controlling has given you the feeling, and might I say, a confident feeling, that you really are a way shower in the world. And in this sense, you really have become a know-it-all, not boastfully, but rather you feel confident that you would like to invite others to come to have the same knowledge that you have, that you would invite others to act the same way that you would in any situation in life. And you sincerely feel that this spiritual presence is accurately guiding you in any situation. And you show it. You show it. Here then is the result. So many other people so appreciate the way that you are showing up, with a sense of gentleness and yet intelligence, with a sense of knowing and yet creativity, with a sense of loving presence, and especially with a sense of a commanding presence. And they are so appreciative of the guidance that you are giving them. You're not a Pied Piper trying to get a following. You are simply the presence of God, inviting others to show up in the same way. No effort, no strain, just the impetus of joy, sparked by the living presence within you. Which now brings me to the third result. I'm going to first suggest a general statement and then share with you two specific qualities. First, the general statement I would suggest that you are now finally exhibiting is this. You are now pleased with yourself. You are now pleased with yourself. This is quite a statement, that you are sincerely pleased with yourself, that you really are pleased with the way that you have become. Please digest this, that on a daily basis you are pleased with the consciousness that you hold. That on a daily basis you have finally achieved a state of authenticity that you never had before. You really know what is really real, and you are living from that truest place within you. Are you not? You have come to know the truth, and you're living from that place. You are sincerely responding to the impetus to joy that you knew was possible, but seems to have eluded you. But not anymore. Not anymore. You are pleased with yourself. Certainly, truthfully, authentically, you really are responding consciously to a higher energy that is also, might I suggest, pleased with you. These two simple qualities of being pleased with yourself. First, there is a sense of being complete. No more gaps, no more searching, no more veils. You have arrived. You have arrived. You might say, well, arrived at what? You have arrived of consciously knowing that you are the creator of your life, following your internal teacher, the Holy Spirit, at the very center of your being. That this knowing of yourself as a conscious creator of your life is the absolute truth. It's the absolute truth of who you are and what you're doing. No more ifs, ands, buts. You know what you're doing because you have become who you are, a conscious creator of your life. I know sometimes it takes your breath away to realize and honestly say, yes, I am consciously creating my life by the choices I am making. But here's the beauty of it. Now, I am making my choices from the God Spirit within me that I clearly know. I know what I'm doing. I know myself. I know who I am. And now, the second quality. You feel a great confidence in going forward in your life, and you are willing to take full responsibility for your future, and you feel very comfortable in creating what you are going to be doing. Now, I'm going to help you in a sense by giving you again that phrase, which I think is so important as we go forward. Again, that phrase is commanding presence. I believe that you now have a commanding presence of bringing forth from your life that which is the most creative, the most intelligent, the most kind, the most loving. I truly feel that you are knowing yourself and that you are that commanding presence that is expressing your future in ever more creative and loving ways. I believe that that's something within you, that impetus to joy, is the commanding future that gives you the confidence to move forward in your life. You have a commanding presence that is pleased with yourself. In conclusion, as I said at the beginning of this teaching, I wanted to share this impetus to joy with you for quite some time. Together we are entheosed. We are enthused. We are in the God Spirit. We are pleased with ourselves in ever more creative ways. And we're becoming very pleased with each other in ever more creative ways. How fun, how compelling, how wonderful for us to follow this impetus to joy with a commanding presence. To follow this impetus to joy for a forever future. So with this teaching, let me now take you into meditation and what a joy it is to do so. How fun to do this. Let us now just take that moment just to go within and just to settle. I'll remind you of what we need to know in the meditation, but just for now, just settle. Just clear your mind, relax your body, and yet be anticipative, be expectant for the good that is about to come. Focus on the breath, move to that nice neutral place, and allow your anticipation to come forward. Now, isn't it true that as you're sitting right where you are right now, when you look at your life, don't you have more joy than worry? Honestly, take a good look at your life. Isn't there more of an impetus to joy than a propensity to worry? Let these words resonate within you. An impetus to joy, becoming much more prominent. Have you not begun to focus much more on well-being? Well-being of your physical body, of your relationships, your status in life, being able to join with others in our Now Creation study groups. You have begun to focus in gratitude on well-being, and you have been smart enough to know that as you do so, the law of attraction kicks in. That which I focus on increases. As you focus on well-being, creativity, kindness, love, intelligence, are you not growing in well-being? And as you have focused on this well-being, are you not truly pleased with yourself? It's not something you have to think about. It's something that you have come to feel. There's an internal feeling of, I'm pleased with the way I'm living. I am pleased with the way that I am responding to life. And this being pleased with yourself, it's not simply a surface pleasure like, well, look what I'm doing. It's not that. It does result in surface pleasures, but it's much deeper. There's something within you that is much more of a joyful presence. Would you be willing to acknowledge that the deeper pleasure within you is the Holy Spirit? I know that you know this, but you have to feel it. You have to acknowledge it. Okay, one more big step. This presence of the Holy Spirit within you is it not your reflection of God? You are a reflection of God. Own this because it's the truth. This reflection of God in you is the impetus of joy. God is the joyful presence that is your impetus. Breathe this into yourself. Take it to the depth that it deserves. And feel the inner smile emerging. Now, honestly, is it any wonder why people like to have you around? Who would not like to have the reflection of God in their company?
I honor thee, I honor thee, namaste, I honor thee, I honor thee, I honor thee, namaste, I honor thee. Deep within, peace resides, faith abounds, and love abides. The light shines bright to illumine love without, love within. I honor thee, I honor thee, namaste.
People do enjoy having you around. You're the reflection of the God Spirit. May you be pleased with yourself. Namaste, dear one. Namaste.